On a chilly autumn morning in an old cobblestone street of Vienna, there lived a man named Emil, a humble shoeshiner. Each day, he sat by the edge of the square with his worn wooden box, a few rags, and a nearly empty can of polish whose label had long since faded. Emil had once lived a prosperous life, a renowned leather craftsman with a workshop of his own, residing in an attic apartment that overlooked the Danube River. But one day, misfortune struck. A fire consumed his workshop. He lost everything, and not long after, his wife quietly left. Now, Emil lived in a shabby attic room with only a small window that looked out onto a narrow, empty alley facing a cold stone wall. Each day, Emil watched people pass by. Gentlemen in long coats, ladies in velvet hats, children laughing and chasing one another, and something inside him quietly ached. He often thought, if only I could have my workshop again, my reputation, and a window facing the river like before. Surely then I would be happy. One early winter afternoon, while Emil was polishing a customer's shoes, a poorly dressed boy approached with a crumpled drawing in his hand. The boy, named Lukas, lived in a nearby orphanage. "Do you like art, sir?" the boy asked. "I often stand across the street and draw you. You look sad, so I'd like you to have this." Emil unrolled the drawing. It was a sketch of him, crouched and polishing shoes, surrounded by warm light, birds flying overhead, and his own face, smiling. He blinked in surprise. "You drew me smiling? I don't remember smiling like that." Lukas replied simply, "I think anyone who works kindly each day must have a smile in their heart." That evening, Emil returned to his little attic room and stared at the same small window. The stone wall outside hadn't changed, gray and lifeless. But for the first time, he took Lukas's drawing and taped it to the glass. He sat down, gazed at the image, and let out a soft chuckle. From that day on, people noticed that Emil hummed gentle tunes as he worked. He hadn't become rich again. The past hadn't returned. But something new had settled within him, a quiet sense of contentment. In the old European streets where time seems to move slower and windows tell more stories than people do, there's a lesson quietly woven into everyday life. Happiness isn't something far away. It's right in front of us, if we're calm enough to truly see it. We often think happiness is a destination, something we reach once we've gained something greater. More wealth, recognition, comfort, a home with a river view, or even a person who completely understands us. But as with Emil, a man with a glorious past and a silent present, we sometimes fail to see the value of this very moment because we're too focused on what has been lost or what hasn't yet come. This story teaches us that not everyone who stood at the top is happy. Not everyone who has fallen is unhappy. All comparison is like a distorted mirror. It blinds us to the quiet beauty in our own lives. Emil had everything and lost it. But only when he had nothing left to lose did he begin to see what he had always overlooked: the simplicity of kindness, the quiet dignity of honest work, and the joy of still being a gentle part of this world. And Lukas, that little boy without wealth or power, saw the world through a lens of compassion. He didn't draw Emil complaining about life. He drew him smiling, not because life was perfect, but because Emil still lived with purpose. And that is real happiness. If you're waiting for life to be perfect before you allow yourself to be happy, you may end up waiting forever. If you believe others are living better lives than you, Perhaps you haven't looked deep enough into your own. You may not live in a grand palace, but you still have a roof over your head. You may not have a window facing the river, but you still have a window that lets the light in. And more importantly, you still have the ability to love, to give, and to smile. And that is something not everyone, even those more successful or seemingly happier, can truly say they possess. So pause for a moment. Look at the small window of your life. You might just see that within it, there's already enough light to begin a new spring.